Welcome to today's deep dive. We're unpacking a really fascinating legal clash today, something between global sports regulations and, fundamental human rights.
Yeah, specifically looking at the OneLove armband controversy.
Right, exactly. Imagine walking out onto the biggest stage in the world with billions of people watching, but your voice is just suddenly filtered through a private rule book.
It is a real-time legal tug of war, honestly. I mean, you have elite athletes trying to use their massive platforms to promote inclusion, and then they're colliding with a governing body that just shuts it down before a single whistle even blows.
You probably remember the bans at the 2022 World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah.
European teams like Germany, England, and the Netherlands, they all plan to wear these One Love armbands, right?
Right, to promote LGBTQ plus rights and inclusion.
Exactly. But FIFA just stepped in and banned them outright. We all know what happened on the field, but looking at our source material today, the actual legal mechanics of how FIFA pulled off that ban is completely wild. So, okay, let's unpack this.
It really is wild when you get into the details.
Yeah, because to me, this feels like signing a strict corporate dress code, except instead of a cubicle, you are on a massive global stage. How does an organization legally justify banning an inclusivity armband?
Well, what's fascinating here is the legal foundation FIFA relies on. Our sources outline two main defensive pillars. First, there are these really strict equipment regulations.
Like a uniform code?
Yeah, essentially a blanket ban on any political, religious, or personal messages on the kit. But the second, deeper pillar is what they call the principle of neutrality.
Okay, so keeping things neutral.
Right. FIFA argues that stadiums must remain apolitical spaces, to maintain global unity. Their logic is that opening the door to even one social message turns the pitch into a forum for ideological dispute.
I just don't get it, though. I mean, human rights are universal, right?
That is the big counterargument. Freedom of expression is a universal human right, and critics argue it shouldn't just disappear inside a stadium, especially for public figures who want to use their platform to highlight inequality.
Right, because FIFA is just a sports body. There is zero legal way a soccer rulebook legally overrules a basic human right.
You would think that, but the reality involves what our sources call a voluntary associative contract.
A what now?
Basically, it's like checking the terms and conditions box when you download a new app. If you want to use the app, you play by their private rules.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So when players join their national associations to compete, they actively consent to FIFA's statutes and disciplinary code.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. It is essentially a jurisdictional loophole. It's like working on an international cruise ship in international waters.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like the standard laws you're used to back home suddenly don't apply because you signed a specific maritime contract. Can they actually legally fine these players based on that?
They can. The Court of Arbitration for Sport, or TAS, generally backs federations like FIFA in these disputes. The legal mechanism prioritizes uniformity and institutional neutrality over individual expression.
As long as you're operating within the confines of their tournament, I guess.
Exactly. By participating, you accept their rules.
So by agreeing to play the game, you're essentially renting out your free speech for 90 minutes. But surely that's not bulletproof, right?
Well, it's not, and that is actually a looming threat for organizations like FIFA. Critics argue that these sporting bans could eventually be challenged outside of that little sports arbitration bubble.
Wait, really? Like in a normal court?
Yeah, if a player took this to a human rights court, like the European Court of Human Rights, the outcome might change entirely.
But how does a human rights court evaluate that differently than the sports arbitration court?
It comes down to a legal concept called proportionality.
That's proportionality, okay.
Right. A human rights court doesn't just look at whether a private rule was broken. It measures whether the punishment fits the crime, so to speak.
I see.
So if a court decides that a massive fine or a tournament ban for wearing an armband is a completely disproportionate reaction, fundamental human rights law could actually overrule that internal rulebook.
Which makes this whole situation a live stress test for you, the listener, to pay attention to. Because this isn't just about football. We are watching massive global institutions try to figure out whether to adapt to modern social values or, rigidly enforce traditional neutrality.
Absolutely. And whether these federations can integrate those global values without losing their institutional control, that's the ultimate unresolved question in our source material.
It really makes you wonder about the contracts we sign every day. I mean, think about it. If an elite athlete's fundamental right to free speech can be restricted by a private association's rulebook, What parts of your own personal expression might you be quietly signing away in your everyday employment contracts without even realizing it?